Brief introduction. Welcome to Hands-on Agile 2025. I'm really excited that Sandrine will join us today and exploring our path from, concept-based approaches to agility to actually things that work. And I'm really looking forward to her talk, and it's going to be about restoring agility through lean craftsmanship. So basically, back to the source, so to speak. Sandrine, could you briefly say who you are and why you are such an interesting speaker on regarding that topic?
I have to answer this question, really? Why am I an interesting speaker?
Of course, yes.
Well, I'm Sandrine, and I'm by training a computer engineer, a software engineer, and also I love marketing and business. That was a long time ago, really, like 35 years ago. But anyways, I started my career, if I may say, in California, in San Francisco, in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, and discovered Agile in 2001 when it came out, basically, in California. Discovered something awesome, and never stopped researching new, interesting ways of working and building fantastic products. And I want to say stumbled upon, but I did not stumble. I really actively looked for different ways and discovered lean as well, lean engineering in particular, and have been studying, practicing lean engineering, among others, but especially lean engineering for the past 16 years approximately, and even wrote a book about it, which I will share at the end if you want. And my talk is about how to find this lost craftsmanship in product design. And what I do today is I have my own company, Tactique, and we build e-learning training products and boot camps. But I also work with teams and companies to try to apply this lean engineering thinking. Okay, so thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very excited to be speaking today. Like I said, Tactique is the name of my company. I actually launched this company about a year ago, but I've been providing this services for a long time. Wrote a book, Build to Sell book, and I'm also, I launched my own lean strategy coach called Lucid, and I'm an associate with a partner with two other companies because I love entrepreneurship, as you'll find out. All right, cool. Let's start. So let's see, how does that work? Why is it not moving? So I'm sure that you guys all know what that is. I'm not even going to get into it, right? And I'm going to tell you that, yes, I started my software development journey back in the 90s, like I said, and in 2001 in San Francisco, I discovered Agile. Okay, to me, it was an absolute game changer after years of, let's be honest, suffering through the waterfall methodologies. All those people who are above 45, I won't say, they lived that. Probably like in the late 90s, early 20,000s. And Agile to me felt like a breath of fresh air. It was breaking out of the straitjacket. I mean, I was almost like ready to go and try something else because I hated it so much. And what I discovered in Agile was fantastic. All these people working together, really having a say into what the product was supposed to be, to me was awesome. So it was not just me, and we know the Agile Manifesto transformed the way millions of us, developers, product folks, and techies, approached building the things, the digital products. But here's the kicker, and I'm assuming that if you're here today, maybe you feel the same, maybe not, we'll see. But over time, to me, Agile has splintered into different frameworks and methods. I mean, a little famous, too famous for its own good somewhere. And along the way, I think we lost the soul of Agile. That what I call craftsmanship, although it's not inclusive of the word craftsmanship. So I use artisanship. But it's that craftsmanship that went into designing and developing a great product, right? And I love that. This is what I want to do. I want to build products that way. The pioneers of Agile, all boys at the time, were tech and code nerds to their core. Their passion was technology, right? And this is what the foundation is: the technology, the craftsmanship that go into building great tech. Somehow that spirit got lost in the push of frameworks and deadlines and delivery. But it's not, building a product, as you know, it's not just about ticking off tasks in a backlog or shipping features. It to me, it's a really messy, creative process where we have to bring together, brilliant minds to make and then make all different elements work in harmony. And it's hard because of the physical laws and the digital constraints and the costs and the regulations and you name it. And all this comes into play, right? And to succeed, you need to solve the technical trade-offs and find the right balance. This is what and I'm spending time explaining this because to me, that's what true product design is about. It's in the details, the patience, the craftsmanship, the exchange, the trial and error, the debate, the failure, the iteration. And this is it. That doesn't mean it has to be chaotic. It means we need the delivery, we need the structure, we need the roadmaps, and we need all this. But the goal of the products is not just that it gets done. It needs to be exceptional. And to me, it requires more than just building backlogs and following sprints, which I see a lot of agile teams do, unfortunately. I'm not talking about something new, right? This is what craftsmanship is really about. And what I'm wondering is what happened? What happened that Agile has shifted from its roots as a collaborative, craftsmanship-driven approach to a delivery-focused process where roles are fragmented and the influence of each of these roles is pretty limited, right? If you look at it, the product owners or the product managers, and I don't want to make this like a generic statement, right? A general statement. I've seen POs that are really they have the right mentality and the right approach, but most of the time, I see product owners and product managers spending most of their time juggling with endless backlogs, collecting requests from different customers and internal teams, and trying to please everyone, prioritizing these features to try to create a roadmap that will please the majority of people, right? And it's a struggle, and it's really not sexy. And then meanwhile, you have the developers who have to execute these plans, right? Often under the pressure to deliver quickly. And who cares about quality, right? And the divide between these roles really runs deep. The PMs frequently lack a solid understanding of technology. And when you do digital product design and development, you cannot not understand technology. You don't have to be an engineer, but you have to get interested in the technology part of the product. It's not possible otherwise, right? And similarly, the developers that I see are far removed from the customer's world. And that's not possible. How can you design and develop something if you don't understand who it's for, if you don't immerse yourself in your user's world, right? And this disconnect leads to all the communication breakdowns and all the rework that we know that happen in the organizations, right? And that the lack of communication and this, we say that team reflects the product, team equals the product, right? And products, in this context, are less stable. They don't scale as well. They don't resonate as well with users. And it's really a cycle that undermines, to me, the very principles that Agile set out to achieve. The frameworks like Scrum and Safe, okay, fine. They're effective for coordinating and they do scale well because they're processes, on paper at least. But they prioritize the rituals and the processes over the artisanship, over the craftsmanship that ensures the quality of the core. And in my mind, we have not yet figured out an efficient, repeatable way to scale that artisan spirit within the digital world. And that's where the lean engineering comes in. Building a product is not a construction exercise. Let's build this or that. To me, it's a problem-solving exercise. And yes, people say, problem-driven development and all that, but they don't really mean it. They remain in their, processes and their process-driven kind of approach. And so ideally we have a team that is mixed with tech and product and client representative and marketing and you name it, even finance. And we get into this what I call VE cycle, value engineering, value analysis, value engineering cycle, a regular cycle, which we call also TACT, a product TACT. And every cycle, we ask ourselves different questions. Yes, we ask ourselves, is the problem we're resolving with our product still valid on this market? Is this still pertinent? What parts are not anymore? We're clinging on parts of our product that maybe are no longer, valid or pertinent. What new innovations do we need to work on? What are our competitors doing? Are they in the process of cracking something that we can't, and we're going to lose our lead? Are we spending too much money? Is maintaining our product too expensive that is going to prevent us from scaling safely? And so on. All these questions, these are the questions that a VE team asks themselves, value analysis and value engineering on a regular basis, all right? And it's not just about filling the next train with a bunch of new features. In fact, if you look back at the history of Agile, you'll find that it has some of its roots, not all, of course, but some of its roots in lean principles. And that the lean dates back over a century. When Toyota introduced their automatic looms, because they were not always, a car manufacturer. They used to make automatic looms that would stop when a thread would break. And that allowed the weaver to address the issue promptly, thereby preserving fabric quality and beauty. And that was to them the secret to scale, right? And what they did, even as they grew in the manufacturing world, they've always stood out by embedding this artisan, quality-driven spirit into their DNA from the very beginning. Their weaving machines, like I talked about, and their early factories, they really cultivated that quality-driven quality that laid the foundation for their decades of innovation. And you'll see, I spent, I don't know, for the past like 7 or 8 years, I've gone almost every year to Japan to visit like Toyota factories to try to understand, because I'm a computer engineer, but that I had to go back to the source, right, to really understand and grasp this concept that apparently Steve Jobs already understood in the 90s. Workers on the Toyota production lines, they're really trained to self-check. You see them, they're not just like operators. You can tell that they're constantly trained to self-check, to see if every gesture that they do is good. It is very interesting. And it's not just because they're checking a checklist. It's because they're trained mentally. We say that quality is an emotion. I say that quality is the emotion of the artisan, of the craftsman that is able to recognize something that is not normal, right? This is what we want. We want to create that kind of quality-minded professionals, and those people on the production line, they actively contribute their creative ideas. You'll see those problem-solving problems and the suggestion boxes and all that. At the end of their shift, they finish their shift early and they spend time improving something on the line, making the job simpler, and improving quality. And all these activities really transform them into real artisans of their craft. You'll even see end-of-line inspectors manually look for defects, like, they're caressing the car. It's very funny. And on everywhere on the vehicle, I've only seen Toyota do that, relying on a tactile sense of quality, like the craftsman, right? And to me, this is artisanship reimagined for the large, at-scale modern industry. They even have that role of chief engineer that I talk about in my book. I call it the chief product engineer because I want to make sure that people don't think it's just an engineering role. The chief, when I use engineering or engineer in my head, I'm talking about the conception. How do you design? It's about designing. It's about engineering a product. It doesn't mean necessarily you have the degree, but it's really that's what I mean. So a chief engineer at Toyota is a role that is designed to bridge the gap, between technical, marketing, operational, and business teams, right? They're these big orchestrators that ensure that every team contributes to that unified vision. And they're true artisans. And they are very interested in technology, in the finance side and marketing. And they don't have a hierarchical authority in the company, but they have great influence. And this is that chief engineer role that I describe in the book, but not just how the chief engineer, who is the chief engineer in your organization, it could be someone coming from tech or market or product. It's someone who's going to be really connecting the dots and making sure that, that vision is implemented all the way to the end. I've seen some POs, like I said, act as partly chief engineers. And but the chief engineer goes much farther, and I'll explain how. Because we're at the crossroads right now. It's a digital era. The tech world thrives on speed and adaptability, but not so much on quality. So, what do we do? It's not 100% true because I remember, and I'm showing like two developers pair programming. I did a lot of pair programming in my youth, and that was closer to what I believe craftsmanship is really about, right? And like pair programming at the time felt like solving puzzles with a fellow developer. Refactoring was satisfying because you made the code scalable. And then I also used test-driven development. And that was great because you ensured high quality from the start, and it created true agility. And to me, these were acts of artisanship. And unfortunately, Silicon Valley, with their constant emphasis on speed and rapid delivery, we lost that. We lost that, but here's the paradox. This obsession with speed in the digital world often leads to bloated system, technical debt, and a loss of agility. Because we think about like delivering something quickly to the market and then hiss, rah, rah, we'll learn and adjust. But one, we send the wrong message to our customers. And two, we think we have time later to work on quality. But once technical debt is there, it's too late. Then we work on redesign projects. Oh, God, now it's time to redesign our entire stack. Yeah, right. No, you should have thought about maintenance and quality from the get-go. That doesn't mean that, it's still possible to do it. I don't believe in complete global project redesign. I don't believe in that. I really believe that it's never too late to start thinking about getting really interested in the maintenance and quality, even though sometimes you have to do, like some parts needs to be drastically redesigned. Still, I don't think project redesigns are the answer. So the question is, can the digital world learn to embrace speed while nurturing artisanship? And how can we scale this mindset? So I'm going to show you 3 practices. The lean engineering has several practices, and in my book I talk about many, but I really believe that the 3 I'm presenting here today are really affordable for any team, agile team or non-agile team, as a matter of fact, to try right away. And we can learn these valuable lessons from lean companies. So the first one is what I call emotion-centric design. Okay. The goal of emotion-centric design is to conceive products that don't just solve problems, but evoke powerful emotions. Okay, we know that more or less, okay, intellectually. But they need to truly resonate with users, because a user, even with like an insurance software, piece of software, they need to feel a connection. And I'll show you an example, as a matter of fact. It is really true. We need to feel this emotion, a connection. We need to understand what is what is doing for us, what's in it for us. And many products miss this mark. They focus on delivering the functional features and resolving the pain points, but not on creating a deep connection that keeps the users coming back, right? Imagine it's a hot sunny day and you're parched. So you grab a soda. I know I'm not just talking about tech, but it's on purpose because I want you to come out of the digital world for a moment. You grab a soda because you're very thirsty. It's really hot. And it promises a refreshment. It evokes the emotion of cooling relief. But what happens if it's too sweet or lukewarm and not as invigorating as you hoped, right? Well, this experience will leave you disappointed, probably frustrated, and next time you won't buy the soda, chances are, right? Or at least you'll be frustrated, even if someone forces you to drink it. Well, this proves that generating, okay, let me see. Yeah. This proves that generating emotions isn't just the realm of marketing. Emotion-centric design means crafting every customer touch point. Okay? Whether it's researching, buying, or using or seeking support to evoke and connect with the user's emotions. Every aspect of the product experience, the user experience, has its part to play in delivering a consistent and emotional experience. Example, here I'm showing you that soda again. The emotion is really, like I said, it's an engineering challenge, actually, like Steve Jobs was explaining. It's creating an emotion means mastering the product's technology to replicate that sensation every single time. And that's not so easy. That's why it has to be looked at from an engineering point of view and not just from a marketing point of view. For the can of soda, for instance, it's the psh sound when it opens, right? It triggers a chill of anticipation. That's the emotion. So what engineering of technical innovations do we need to implement to maintain this perfect level of carbonation, the temperature and the flavor consistency to deliver that chill with every single sip, all the way to the end? Well, an artisan knows how to communicate emotions for their creations, actually. They know how to do this. You're going to tell me everyone has different memories and lives. How can we cater to all these different emotions with a single product? Well, actually, we tend to look for a dominant emotion within a single segment. Okay? And here I'm showing you the example of the warm blanket that could evoke the comforting emotion of being enveloped in a mother's embrace, right? How do you make sure that when you pick it up, you feel it, you put it on yourself, you wash it, you reuse it, that it keeps that same emotion every single time? That's an engineering challenge. And you're going to tell me, but not every product needs to evoke emotion. Well, actually, it does. And ignoring the emotional aspect from the start can mean missing vital opportunities. Vagos is an example. It's an online temporary insurance. And I took this example on purpose to show you how boring insurance could be, and yet we find emotions in that. When I asked the CEO, who's my friend today, JB, in Wales, in England, in the UK, sorry, in Wales. And when I asked the CEO and the team about what dominant emotion they wanted their product to evoke, they laughed at me and they said, look at them laughing. This is just insurance. Insurance is commodity. Who cares? People are only interested in low prices because they have to take insurance. But then I took them, we went and we interviewed people, and then we looked at support tickets and we did a bunch of stuff. And after diving into the customer's world, analyzing, like I said, support tickets and so on, they found plenty of emotion. And I remember I was there when we interviewed this father who was preparing to send his son off to college. And he bought this weekend car insurance for him so he could borrow the car for a special weekend with his girlfriend before leaving home for a few years, right? And he used these words. He said that this gesture was not just practical, it was a symbolic act of trust and good parenthood. He wanted to mark a meaningful rite of passage into adulthood. And, all these new insights led actually the Vego team, and I'm talking the technical team, engineering and product team, to create new services and tools specifically for parents who have become a significant client base since. So emotion matters, even in the most unlikely places, as you can see here. So the second lesson I would say that, or practice we can learn from Toyota, is what I call the performance-based product approach, as opposed to the feature-based product approach. I call that feature frenzy. Like we see at the beginning. The famous Charlie Chaplin's movie. The feature frenzy is when you have features, requests coming from everywhere, and then you create a log of features, and then you send them through the process, and then the train, and then it's just a feature frenzy. So that feature approach versus the performance-based approach, and I'm going to explain. It's a change. It's a switch of mindset, but it really so powerful. It creates immense amount of collaboration, interesting conversation in the team, and a boost in innovation. It's absolutely magical. So I'm going to show you the example of Andrew Davis, who's the CPO of AutoRabbit, an American company specialized in Salesforce release management tools. Nothing that seems so excited either. It's not like a can of Coke, but and its flagship product called ARM has fallen into, what I called feature frenzy. It's a common trap that we all fall into. And Andrew and his team receive a constant flood of feature and change requests from everywhere in the company, and it was a nightmare. They never know how to prioritize, who to please first, and it took a massive toll, and nobody was never satisfied with the new releases. You had management was like, what are the developers doing? It's always tech who's wrong, right? And it's such a common path in software. I see it all the time. To me, it's a weak point of Agile, or at least the Agile that I see today. So where's my mouse? Okay. So for their new product called Flow Center, Surya, who's the chief product engineer at the time, I trained her as a chief product engineer. She trained she was the PM. She tried a different approach. First, she went straight to what we call the Gemba. It's the real place where their product will be used. She listened to sales calls, collected client stories, etc. She analyzed complaints to gain a deeper understanding of the problems with key preferences. You're going to tell me, yeah, we do that as well. Okay, yes, but she did it with a lean eye, meaning she did it by trying to bypass her own cognitive biases, and that's a tough thing to do. So that's what we tried to do. We tried to make sure that we really understood the not just the pain points, but the true problem, and especially what I call the customer preferences. The customer preferences that are those most stable preferences, the non-negotiable quality characteristic that define customer satisfaction. You see, those when you buy something, you're going to buy an article or a product based on a few criteria, and these are non-negotiable. If you buy a phone, you're going to say, I want a large screen. I want a lot of space. I want a fast phone. You name it, right? And we all have those criteria, and those criteria are non-negotiable. If you don't satisfy those, then your product is going to fail. At some point or another, people are going to start complaining. So the idea of this performance-based product is to start with understanding what the key customer preferences are. And this is something that is a model. It becomes your model, your client model. And you compare your product, with other competing products based on those criteria, because everybody is fighting for those to make sure that we at least match those vital preferences, right? And as you can see, for instance, this radar chart here shows the stable customer preferences for the Flow Center clients, users. The solid line reflects the client's evaluation of the product, the company's product. As you can tell, they're not doing well on many aspects. And when you do that, you realize, whoa, we thought we were hot on the market, right? And you have all of a sudden a very different perspective on how good you are and how quickly you're going to get surpassed by your competitors. That is really powerful. So we see, for instance, that Flow Center is very strong on two key preferences. Simplicity of the pipelines view, awesome. Very responsive UI compared to the competitors, but they're not so hot on integration and whatnot. So they realized that they thought it was not a huge problem. It was coming, it's in the roadmap in a year and a half or something, we're going to work on that. But then when you compare yourself to the competitors and you realize that, whoa, you are like worse than everybody else, then it makes you think twice about what is the next thing you're going to do. Right? Instead of saying, okay, what do I put in my next train? You're going to ask yourself, what is the next performance or a preference that I'm going to satisfy here? And then you align everybody on this. It changes everything. Actually, Surya and the team decided to improve ease of use for the next iteration because they realized that it was really important. It was making them lose big time relative to that yellow line, their main competitor that was gaining ground. So they said, okay, integration, everybody's better than us, but if we don't work on ease of use, we're dead in the water. So they knew it was coming, integration was coming, but they put all of their energy on ease of use first for the next VAVE cycle, right? They chose one impactful change. When I say one change, doesn't mean one feature or one user story, one engineering change to keep the team focused on avoiding spreading efforts too thin. Then, of course, they came up with a plan afterwards, and they broke it down into user stories and you name it. But it's a very different story from saying, okay, I have a bunch of features I want to do, but I know that those are going to help me beat the competition on that performance. Very different approach. And so what next? So reframe the usual question, what features should we add next to what product behaviors we need to change in order to satisfy that new user preference? Very different question. And to answer this, the team, she put together a core team of tech people, product people, customer representative, customer support, marketing. She had a real multidisciplinary team, and they asked themselves, these questions together. It guided their decisions, not just what to do, but their design decisions. How to do it is the next question. Okay. How do we actually are going to do this? And this is where it triggers innovation because everybody puts their thought into this. Siri actually wrote an article that I can share with you at the end of the presentation. And she's describing, she said, my job changed overnight. I was no longer like that PM that pushed, my stories down the line and that didn't understand tech and that that nobody talked to anymore. I really was there to provide the orientation and trigger all this fascinating conversations about how we're going to do it together. And that's where the messy craftsmanship gets into play. Fascinating. She said that I've never had conversations like that with tech people or marketing or finance. It was fascinating. So her role changed. And that's how she became a chief engineer. She reframed that. And so basically, the next step was to translate this easy to understand and use preference into a set of critical product performances. And that's why I call this approach the performance-based product. Because instead of looking at the features, you look at what are your product functions. Okay, a phone has, what are the functions of a phone? Calling, surfing the web, the battery, so basically the power, it has different functions, right? So, and I'm not talking about use cases. I'm talking about functions. They're more like components, if I may say. So for instance, your drag and drop visual system to build the pipelines is a function of their system. And for each function that they identified, they came up with a set of key performance targets that drove the design. It guided the whole team. And those are leading indicators if you look at it, but they're design leading indicators. They're not just like lagging indicators where we just measure NPS and the number of bugs, which we need to do once your product is in operation, in production, right? But what guides the design? Only sprints? Only story points? That doesn't tell you if you're actually getting close to satisfying what is most important to your customer. So this changes everything. So when you say, for instance, drag and drop visual system to build pipelines, to do that, make sure that it's easy and understand from the customer's perspective, from what we understand when we want to interview them and we observe them on the Gemba, we think that less than 5 actions to create the pipeline will need to be applied. We need to figure out how to do this when they had 27 at the time. And that's where the discussions came into play. How do we do this? And how do we resolve the trade-off between all the different functions? Because when you touch something, you're going to end up touching something else. And all of a sudden, you get the team into this craftsmanship spirit. It's fascinating, really fascinating. I love working this way. So yes, the Flow Center team stopped bickering over features and they started collaborating. All right? They did pretty well. So now, how do you scale that? That's the last one, the last practice I want to talk to you about. How do you scale this? What is that chief product engineer role, quote unquote? Because like I said, it's not, you find them, you have your chief product engineer, you know who they are. And maybe some of them would be interested in learning how to become one. But building performance-based products instead of managing endless feature backlogs is really a big change of mindset in the digital world. Because for the past 20 years, or 15, let's say, we've really radically changed how we do it. But every time I've seen a team do performance-based product, it paid off immediately. So prioritization actually becomes easier because the developers are inspired to resolve the difficult challenge together, right? To me, it's the simplest and most immediate ways I know to start developing this artisan spirit in an Agile team. So I just shared 2 practices that can help. Now I'm going to share the story of Caroline Payou. She's a French CEO this time of a company called Ignition Program. And believe it or not, they're leader in recruitment and training. They have a platform, digital platform, with some intelligence in there that's supposed to be doing the matching, but not just, they provide a lot of services as well because they really want to deliver a human kind of service. So they added some services to that. But the recent economic downturn hit the company really hard. I don't know if you guys are feeling this downturn wherever you are in the world, but in France, it's really hitting hard. The budgets are tightened. The demand has decreased drastically, and in every domain. And in a highly competitive market like recruitment and training, I know what I'm talking about because I have a training business, okay, an online training business. The pressure to deliver impeccable services and identify new value opportunities is really becoming urgent. So in her search for a better strategy, Caroline turned to Lean, and that's how she and I met. So I didn't start immediately with a product. I started with making sure that she could survive in this market. And I told her, first thing first, quality. The market has shrunk, quality first. Let's look at how you deliver quality. And so we did a lot of work on that. As you can tell, I mean, she managed for the 7 months we did that with the teams. We looked at, I'm not going to get into the details of it because this is not what I'm presenting today, but we worked on quality and they managed to really stay afloat. Thank God, because their competitors were dying next to them. So, these improvements were nothing short of spectacular, really, and it bought them time. The next critical step was to evaluate her offer. For the longest time, so Ignition Program digitized part of their customer experience, like I told you, to facilitate the candidate and recruiter matching, right? Because they're a recruitment agency. However, their mission has always been to go beyond just recruiting, right? They wanted to provide personalized guidance to the job seekers and the recruiters. And so As a result, they focused heavily on their selling efforts to craft tailored journeys. So they had a more sales-led strategy. They didn't see their products as a product. They just thought of their products as a marketing offer. And that changes everything. And the only semi-product approach that they had was only on the platform, the tech platform side of things. And I said, the platform is not your product. Your product is the actual recruitment or the placement. So you have to look at your product, the whole product, not just the platform. And you see that all the time. And you go into tech companies and they say, we're tech companies, so the product is the tech. No, the product is what you deliver to your customer, right? And the tech, most of the time, is just one enabler. Sometimes it's a big enabler, but at Amazon, the website is an enabler. It's not their product, right? And so now with the market downturn, Caroline has realized that they've lost touch with their customers' evolving needs. So it makes it hard for them to scale their sales-driven approach. They don't know how to do it. They keep going. And they have good market intuition, and they're great salespeople. Thank God, this is how they manage to stay afloat. But it's not scalable. And they're not enough, it's not enough to build resilience, right? So she started to think about how to build what I call the product-led strategy. And it's a better strategy for her now, especially that she's trying to grow and diverse, go and hit new markets. And so she needed to balance both strategies, actually. How did she do that? With the guidance, my guidance, we work together, and she's a fantastic woman. Caroline is now shaping that her product-based strategy. She's putting together a team of chief product engineers. And they did not even have, they had only one PM for the platform. They'd never thought of it that way. So we came up, we found 4. They had like 6 or 7 products. The 4 main products, we designated chief product engineers. Some came from growth, others from marketing, others more technical. And she put together this team of chief product engineers among the team members, including 2 that have been there since the beginning. So they know the company, they know the market. And like at Toyota, these new chief product engineers take on the critical role of balancing the customer value, the technology, the finance to craft their product. A chief product engineer is not tied to a specific role, like product owner, product manager, or tech lead. Like I said, it's really about a responsibility and a mindset. Although at Toyota, they're called chief product engineer. They can emerge from any part of the organization, but they must be driven by a visceral passion for customers and a strong understanding of the product and technologies. Okay. And a chief product engineer, once they're trained, they have also a commitment to optimize the costs to enhance the value and the profitability of their product. This is the true secret of scalability, right? And so they must demonstrate strong leadership skills. These abilities can be taught, and they can be nurtured. We're not looking for a jack of all trades, really. It starts with identifying and mentoring those potential chief product engineers. And we have to do it from the start. We know, maybe you've heard it, what is it called? Brian Chesky and Paul Graham talked about like the founder mode and the leader mode, or I can't remember what he calls it, like the manager mode, yeah. And you don't have to compromise, saying you have to be a manager or a leader. You can be both. You just have to start thinking about transmitting or transferring this craftsmanship spirit, this founder spirit from the get-go. And a chief product engineer organization will help you to do that. Really. So let's look at it. Caroline works closely with each of her chief product engineers. She practices the tools I presented earlier and others. She analyzes the discovery. She explores solutions together. You see, I'm going to show you, it's always very visual as well. And and it's not just traditional training, right? Where you focus on theoretical knowledge and lessons and whatnot. The mentorship really is about hands-on and very personal training. Caroline directly passes on her vision, her market insight, her passion for the product, and she embeds that into the team's daily work. So it's in French, but I wanted to show you a visit. She's visiting. Caroline is on the right, and Violet is one of the chief product engineers, and they're discussing their radar chart. I showed you the radar chart, but that's a new one. That's for them. That's their radar chart. And I want to show you what this mentorship is really about. It's subtitled, by the way. Can I launch it here? Yeah.
Ok, Violette, alors on va résoudre cette bagarre. Équipe, on a pas mal avancé. Ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'on est vraiment venu un petit peu étudier ce qui était plus important finalement, tu vois, pour le manager conforme.
Ouais.
Et il y a un sujet sur lequel je compte pas assez bon aujourd'hui, dans là qu'on progresse, c'est le fait que, ok, Violette, alors on va résoudre cette bagarre. Et puis, on a pas mal avancé. Ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'on est vraiment venu un petit peu étudier ce qui était plus important finalement, tu vois, pour les managers conformes.
Ouais.
Et il y a un sujet sur lequel je trouve qu'on est assez bon aujourd'hui, là qu'on progresse. C'est le fait qu'entre nos épions de correspondant management, quand un peu seul est pas vraiment dîner, tu vois, il n'y a pas d'intersaison, en fait. Et donc là, je nous ai noté un point de 5, donc j'aimerais vraiment que les prochains moments d'innovation soient un peu dédiés à avancer sur ce sujet. Donc là, c'est bon, en plus, ça semble accessible. Ouais, ça semble carrément accessible. Et du coup, pour compléter un peu ça, on a fait une étude de la gouvernance. Donc, on est obligé de dire 5 migrants. Et maintenant, je te rends intéressant, là, je t'ai mis quelques enfants. Et eux, tu vois, ils font l'intercession. Ils font pas du coaching individuel. Et donc, la question de me pose, c'est est-ce que c'est obligatoire? Est-ce que quand les gens rachètent chez eux, ils achètent le package formation plus coaching, ou est-ce qu'ils peuvent dissocier les deux? Et eux, ils prennent que 6 personnes par module, alors que nous, on est à 20. D'accord. Je me dis, ça me questionne aussi, tu vois, est-ce qu'ils prennent plus cher quand ils prennent plus de personnes? Est-ce que t'as vu quelqu'un qui ne dépasse pas pour lui demander non coaching et est-ce que c'est ça? Non, quelqu'un va juste envoyer une presse pour l'instant, ou on va faire un type dive de la presse, mais en gros, interviewer, mais ça peut pas grand-chose là. Faut voir s'il faut pour rajouter du coaching individuel, éventuellement du coaching collectif. Ça.
So, okay, I hope you managed to follow, but this is what I mean by mentoring. It happens on the Gemba, right? And the collaboration that we just witnessed between Caroline and Violette in their what we call Obeya room, and Obeya room is the cockpit of the product in the lean engineering. It's not just about resolving the current problems. It's really about building this mentoring system to ensure the spirit of the chief product engineer and the artisan lives on. The engineering tool that they're practicing together that you're seeing here is the radar chart. It's a real radar chart. And when most of their students say, I want to feel guided, I don't want to feel lonely. Most of the training that I take, I feel lonely. This is one of the most stable preferences, and they don't rate so well. And they realize, wow, we need to do something about this. You see how it changes, the priority? So, yeah, I mean, a product-led approach, or the chief product engineer approach, is really similar to an apprenticeship, because experienced leaders pass on their knowledge, their vision, and their passion to the next generation constantly. And the cornerstone of this system is the chief product engineer role. If we take a step back and we look at the wider digital landscape, we see that the most successful companies like Apple, Airbnb, and Slack are product-led. A product-led organization drives growth through exceptional products designed to sell themselves. And in these companies, the founder stays involved in the product vision, and they mentor the next generation of leaders, sometimes too closely because they don't know how to do this yet. Again, Brian Chesky, who says, I have to go back and control everyone. And actually, he didn't say that, but, it seems that way. I want to have a gigantic roadmap, and then I will go and then ask everyone what they're doing next. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. I think you can find a middle ground. And I personally have found it, so that's what I'm sharing today. So I'm going to conclude now on this. How can we prepare for the future? How can each of us do to adapt and thrive in this landscape, right? I don't know if you know the Waymo. It's the self-driving car in California. This is the picture I'm showing you. But how do we do that? Because now the industry and tech, they're becoming one. So we need we have things to learn from each other, I think. If we're in digital, I think we can we can think about how to create products that really connect with our customers and that can scale easily and stop fearing quality. We need to embrace it as the key to going faster, actually, because quality is not the roadblock, it's the accelerator. We've forgotten that. I think that industry can learn something from us as well. I don't know if there are any industry people in this group, but I've presented the same presentation at the Lean Summit with a bunch of manufacturers, and they loved it because they're constantly wondering how to work with us. They're like, my God, it's another breed, another world. We don't know. They go fast. They don't do quality. That's like, what is all this? Different speed. And so I think they can learn, like Tesla is doing. They're not only doing crap. Some people think, I don't want to get into politics, but anyways, if you're in industry, consider experimenting with digital's modularity and iterative thinking, like in product design, like we do in the Agile world. And Tesla is doing this. What I'm showing you here is a different way of building a car that is very modular. It's not based on batches where you build the whole body and then you paint the whole body. No, they're thinking of it as like you assemble. It's like IKEA and IKEA furniture, and they're really trying to apply these ways of thinking. And I think we can meet there between the two, us working more on quality craftsmanship and them on trying to build a little more agility. So voila, I'm done. I think that together we have the power to shape the future, where both digital and industry don't just coexist, but they elevate each other. Isn't that wonderful? The future is ours to craft. And on this, I'm just going to thank you, show you the book that I wrote. It took me 8 years to write it because I really wanted to. It took me time because I really wanted to translate everything that I told you today. Not everything, but this mindset that I think we need to reinstate. Thank you very much. I'm done, Stefan, for sure.
Sandrine, that was awesome. I wonder, we could add 5 minutes, no problem. Would you be interested in having a question or two from the spreadsheet? Okay, good. So
if there are any, I know how to answer.
Let's add another 5 minutes and we're good to go. So, Gunnar, you come across as a person who's interested in exploring concepts. In contrast, the discussions of the last 1.5 years appear to have favored people who have an almost allergic reaction to certain words or labels like lean or agile. What is your advice on how to deal with this? Ignore the haters or connect with the good folks?
Ignore the haters. No, but it depends on what you're talking about. In the company, in the grand scheme of things? In what context? Give me some context, please.
Basically, outside of the company, LinkedIn, blog posts, whatever you read, the discussion seems to have turned so sour. And this is because today was such a contrast that it became so clear to me. And I'm very puzzled that some of the most sour people are hailed as the heroes or the new prophets, and I can't make sense of it.
Well, you can't please everyone. What I'm thinking is that no matter what, lean engineering, okay, that's what lean engineering is, really a personal journey. Okay, so let's start with learning it, trying it, practicing, see what we learn, and then let's think about how to create a movement. That's what I'm trying to do now. I create, but maybe the movement will be small, maybe it'll be big, maybe, and so what? You don't have to succeed either. It's a choice.
Another one?
Yes.
Okay, come on. So, I really like this one here too. So it's again about quality craftsmanship. Is it possible that lowering cost to entry to positions like product owner, Scrum Master naturally leads to a reduction of craftsmanship? If the cost of an entry is a 2-day course, then surely that necessitates a number of people not appreciating the craft.
So the question is, can you do quality if you reduce the cost? Can I summarize that as this way or not? Or I'm oversimplifying? Anybody? Who's asking the question? Who wants to speak up? No. Well, if this is what it is, it depends on what cost you're talking about. Okay. The thing is, cost is often seen from an accounting point of view. Okay. When the shit hits the fan, and pardon my French, then all of a sudden finance takes over. The finance team takes over and starts cutting through the muscle. Okay, only one screen. No more travel. No more. We gotta hire cheaper developers and whatever, and they shoot themselves in the foot. So really, that's why the chief product engineer also is responsible for ensuring the profitability of the product, because they're going to look at it from the beginning. They're going to look at how to build a product that is scalable from the get-go. And we don't talk about like cost reduction. We talk about value improvement. When you improve value, you reduce cost. When you improve quality, you reduce cost. You don't try to reduce cost. So you just have to be aware of your cost. And that's what we call target costing. And I talk about it in my book. And if you're interested, I even have a training course. Hey, here, you told me, Stefan, what my training course for Chief Product Engineer is ready. I tell you, it is going to be ready March 1st. So if you want, you can go check it out on tactica.com. But in any case, cost is something that the Chief Product Engineer and the product team and the tech team need to look at from the get-go before they let finance take over and decide for them. And if you look at, it's also an opportunity to look for to trigger the innovative spirit. Because when you look at value from the customer point of view and from the scalability point of view, and you put people in a room and you tell them, how do we improve value on both sides? They come up with amazing innovation. And that's how you build a fantastic product that scale, that resonate with users, but that can scale cheaply and that are agile. And that's how you avoid technical debt. So that cost approach, that's what I'm talking about. Not cost reduction from an accounting line-by-line point of view, which is what our organizations do. If that answers the question. Stefan, what do you think? Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. There's a difference between not spending money and saving money.
That's correct. There's a big difference. But always balancing. That's why you need your Obeya with your radar chart to know what is always important to do for customers. What your customers are in the not customers, your competitors are in the process of doing. You need to understand where the waste is in your flow, customers and development flow, so that you continue working on agility and flexibility over time. And that is what I mean by cost management here. And that's why I totally believe that it should be the responsibility of the Chief Product Engineer. I don't only believe that. It's the way it's done in industry. Why not in digital?
So, if you want to learn more about this idea, I can strongly recommend Build to Sell. It's a great book, and it's a very affordable investment. Think about, okay, maybe that is a different approach to the madness of focusing, sticking to frameworks and try to make them work for you. So I always believe that we're not getting paid to, for example, practice Scrum. We get paid to solve our customers' problems within the given constraints while contributing to the bottom line, of our organization. That's the whole point. Sometimes a framework might be useful. Sometimes parts of the framework might be useful. But in many cases, at least in my experience, you have to figure out your own way. And learning is a good part of that. Sandrine, thank you so much for
you guys
sharing your ideas and and your passion that you bring to the topic is highly appreciated. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great rest of conference, guys.